Hello and welcome to this special edition of Inside the Americas, where we're taking some time to appreciate the beauty, history and possibilities of the American Wild West. Coming up on the show. California's towering sequoia trees are increasingly falling victim to the perils of climate change, but the huge amounts of carbon dioxide they consume could make them a key weapon in the fight against global warming. We take a look at the colours, canyons and crevices that make the Grand Canyon such an enduring tourist destination. And cowboys, once at the heart of Western ranch life, are rapidly disappearing. Some do still manage to make ends meet, but others are turning their backs on livestock, instead selling the cowboy dream to the highest bidder. But let's begin in California's Sierra Nevada National Park, where droughts are threatening the future of giant sequoias. They're the world's largest trees, although even they aren't immune to the effects of a warming planet and are dying in record numbers. But while sequoias are falling victim to global warming, they could also offer potential ways of combating it, with scientists keen to harness their huge capacity for absorbing CO2. Elizabeth Walsh has the details.
They are the pride of California. Thousands of giant sequoias soar into the sky atop of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Unique to this region of the world, sequoias are distinguished by both their red tree trunks and imposing size. Reimagine these impressive trees enduring for all of eternity, but yet they are endangered.
So you can see these two sequoias over here are dead. This was another one that had died during the drought, and now it's fallen to the ground. Even in past droughts, no one has ever seen that.
Some 15 sequoias died of thirst last summer. Scientists were shocked. Until now, these massive trees had survived all kinds of natural disasters, including forest fires.
It is a potential preview of the future that tells us things could get worse if it keeps getting warmer. We might reach a point where more sequoias are dying, and that would be something I'd be very concerned about.
Over the past 3 summers, the biologist has climbed to the top of the tree to better understand why it is struggling.
There's a beautiful view up here.
At these heights, the team collects samples and observes the tree's distress. Sequoias take in between 2,000 and 3,000 liters of water per day, more than any tree ever studied. Since the deforestation of westward expansion, only 4% of original sequoias remain. Now, facing the threat of climate change, some are coming up with radical solutions to save them. In this laboratory, scientists clone sequoias using the young branches of carefully selected trees.
This is a genetic duplicate of one of the biggest, oldest giant sequoias on the planet, the champion of the champions.
After they are cloned, the trees spend 5 years growing in the shelter of the lab. The goal? Plant them around the world in a reforestation plan to combat climate change. This little sequoia, once it becomes a large tree, will be able to absorb 400 tons of carbon dioxide.
This tree is probably 2,500 years old. But when we plant this clone of that tree, we'll be setting the clock back to 0. And this tree will go on for another 2,500 years.
The biggest living trees in the world are a source of both hope and anxiety. Though victims of climate change, these natural monuments could also soon become saviors of our planet.
Now, last year, millions of tourists headed to Arizona's Grand Canyon National Park in search of an authentic American experience and, of course, an iconic view. But there's more to America's second most visited national park than just an impressive lookout point. Luke Schrago and Julia Seeger take a look.
It's a must-see in the American Southwest. Every year, more than 5 million people visit the breathtaking Grand Canyon National Park. It has its share of desertscapes, but when hikers start exploring the canyon's depths, they find hidden gems, dimly lit chasms, so-called slot canyons. Here, the passage is narrow and the red-coloured stone is a photographer's dream come true.
We have all these stripes and textures that we can utilize to our advantage. And so when you come in here during the right kind of light, when you get this nice reflected glow, that's money for photographers. 1, 2, 3.
The beauty of Peekaboo Canyon changes with every twist and turn. In the area, there are a dozen of these slot canyons formed by the wear of water rushing through rock. Back in the day, Indian tribes used these canyons to store food in the shade. They even dug makeshift ladders in the sandstone.
It's really mind-blowing to think that, so long ago there were people, from other cultures who were here in this exact same moment.
Several kilometers away, a whole new set of scenery, a collection of giant natural amphitheaters. Bryce National Park is distinctive for these geological structures called hoodoos. They form by frost weathering and stream erosion of the river and lakebed sedimentary rocks. The red, orange and white colours of the stone provide spectacular views for visitors.
It creates a fin of rock, just like that fin of material there. And then erosion along these fractures causes the fin to separate into hoodoos. And so it's a constant sort of process.
These totem pole-shaped structures were sacred to Indians.
They actually believed that at one point these rock formations would have been human beings, people that stole food from their own tribe and were actually frozen in place here as a punishment. Come on, Tuff!
And what better way to explore these breathtaking landscapes than on the back of a horse with a cowboy-turned-travel guide.
This behind me is called Seal's Castle. The three fingers on the left look like seals with their noses in the air to reach up and catch a ball or something like that.
It's an opportunity to plunge back into the atmosphere of American westerns and go back in time to the American Wild West.
Finally, the Far West is one of the USA's most romanticised tourist destinations, but its demographic makeup has changed drastically in recent decades. 50 years ago, being a cowboy was a job with a future, but that future has long passed. Shirley Sitbon takes a look at a way of life that could soon be consigned to history books and tourists seeking a so-called authentic Wild West experience.
They're the Far West's icons, unmistakable with any other Americans. They still have their cowboy hats and boots, riding into the sunset. But in broad daylight, it's pretty obvious cowboys have changed. With little prospects in the field, most have turned away from the branch too energy-consuming. Others are about to retire.
I work 12 or 14 hours a day. It's hard work, and my body's starting to feel like it.
The main competition for traditional ranches, mass livestock production. They've become industrialized businesses owned by investment funds, and they've pushed meat prices down.
It takes 60 steer calves to buy a pickup, and it used to take 10 steer calves to buy a pickup. It's not cowboy against cow anymore, it's against computer.
Jim's two children don't wish to take over the ranch. He therefore has no other choice but to sell the property of 1,200 hectares.
When I graduated from high school, we had $100,000 worth of land, so it's worth $35 an acre.
Yeah, so now $5.5 million.
It's my way of life, and it's getting kind of sad to see that it's going away.
While the number of traditional cowboys has been divided by 4 over the past 50 years, new ones have emerged.
I bought the ranch at Rock Creek in 2010, and for $25 million, I put $35 million into it to make it this fabulous resort.
This cowboy is a New York banker. His resort is more like a luxury hotel than a traditional ranch. Staying here costs $1,000 for each guest per night, and many don't have to pay. They're the owner's guests.
When I invite my investment banking clients here and they can cool off on a hot day, they really enjoy that.
Here, mixing business and pleasure is not only all right, it's the goal.
Yes!
The animals are far from being the cowboys' priority.
Cattle, I love the cattle, but I don't have to take care of them every day. My ranch manager does that.
Cows are out, but horses are still very much in. A private rodeo is one of the main attractions on the site. Will, the 14-year-old boy riding the horse, is a cowboy from a traditional nearby ranch. His family relies on these shows, paid $100 each.
No, it's just, you get a little bit of the butterflies, but they go away when you open the gate.
Joe teaches children rodeo horse riding.
It's kind of a dying breed, you know, so, you know, they have to learn somewhere or it'll go away.
Will cowboys disappear or end up in museums? Maybe one day, but Far West enthusiasts hope it will be as late and far away as possible.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's Inside the Americas. See you again next time here on France 24, and thank you very much for watching.